All right, time for weather. Storm Tracker 4 meteorologist Daniel McFarland. Daniel, you know, some of us were actually kind of dressing up like that guy before last week. That's what we were doing. Not this morning, but last week, that's what we were looking like.
Oh, yeah, that last half of the day, Thursday into Friday morning, I think just about everyone around here was dressed like that, Robbie.
Oh, yeah, no, people were like, hey, Rob, you heading to Everest today? Like, what's going on? It's just like, no, it's just really cold in the morning here in Tucson.
Yeah, it definitely was. And thankfully, things are changing on that front. It's nice and clear. It's pretty dry. This is going to be a live look outside to the Storm Tracker 4 Skycam network, and there's not a cloud in the sky around most of the Tucson area, and temperatures are looking pretty good so far. We just fell under 60 degrees once again here at the airport, but there are other spots around town like Oro Valley that are progressing through the 60s a little bit faster, likely going to reach 68 or 69 for a high by the end of the day today. So as I mentioned, we're not looking at any cloud cover, so what you're looking at here is potential movement to kind of show what the clouds look like from space. There's a little bit in northern Mexico, but there's eventually going to be some that are going to move in from this area over Blythe and Yuma. This should begin to pass us by, say, around 3-4 o'clock. None of this is going to translate to any kind of rain, and I want to point this out because it's also going to be gone for the overnight hours. It's not going to move in and settle, and it's not really going to change up our afternoon temperatures today, and it's not really going to be affecting our temperatures early tomorrow morning either, as you'll see here in just a minute. So when it comes to the highs around town, still in between 67 and 69 is where most of us are going to be stopping. A handful of spots might get held up around 65, but it's not going to be too many. Nogales, 67 for you there, and I do think a couple spots could be reaching 70. Sells, Lukeville have the best chance. Ajo, I have at 68 for now, just because they're lagging behind a little bit of Sells of their temperature, but I wouldn't be surprised if they reach that mark. Now, if you do live in Wilcox or Tombstone, you're also in the 40s right now, lower 50s for some of you, but I do think 63 is possible for your high temperature. Now, I did want to talk about those clouds moving in just to show you that they're not going to be holding up our temperatures for tomorrow. We're still expecting to drop to around 40 degrees, but this should be the last time for a while we have lows down at that low. So if we move on and look over at spots like Wilcox, Benson, and Tombstone, a lot of you are still going to be at or below the freezing point for early tomorrow, but it's likely going to be one of the last times you're that way for at least a couple weeks with the way things are setting up. Clouds should be gone by early tomorrow, as I mentioned before, but they are going to be noticeable, and that's what I want to point out right there. High pressure is going to be the dominant force for the next few days. So what that means for you is that air is going to be dry. You're going to see warmer temperatures here, and since it's going to be holding long enough, the mid-70s are going to be possible for a few days out there, mainly towards the end of the week, but still 75, 76, easily reachable as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There might be some changes, though, as we get into the weekend. If you look up towards the north right here, closer towards Seattle and Portland, they are expecting a good bit of rain and snow as we work our way into Friday. This system will be reaching us, but it's going to be a whole lot weaker by the time it gets here. Those days that we're going to be impacted by it will be Sunday through about Tuesday. Your best chance for heavier rain, I think it's going to be Tuesday. It's going to be pretty light on Sunday, so if you want to make outdoor plans, it's still not going to be a bad day for it. It might be a tad bit breezy, but you're still expecting 70 for a high temperature. 76 as you get into Friday. That's going to be the warmest day over the next week. Another takeaway I have here is going to be the lows. So we were down into the 30s overnight tonight. We're expecting 40 for a low overnight, Robbie, but at least over the next 10 days, we're looking pretty good. In fact, we could be back in the 50s for these low temperatures towards the weekend. Not a bad time if you want to get out and say go biking on Saturday morning or go for a hike.